the deal. They're taking it from 20 to 25% to bring you guys in to try out that delicious CBD infused coffee. The code is DNVR25 to get 25% off your first order at Strava Craft Coffee. And of course, there's always the opportunity to subscribe to Strava Craft Coffee, get it sent straight to your door every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks and get 20% off every single time. You guys got to check out this CBD infused, rich, tasty coffee. Everyone here at the DNVR bar is killing it on the cold brew we have on tap here, but you can get it sent straight to your door, ground or not. So make sure you check it out and try out all the benefits of that CBD infused, rich, tasty coffee.
Number one for the one and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach Mace, Arcade, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four, we're still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Couple with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
Welcome into the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by MSU Denver Online. MSUdenver.edu/online is the place to check out all they have to offer. And man, they really do have a lot to offer. 750 total classes, 45 plus online and hybrid programs. There's something for everyone at MSU Denver, especially if you need to keep a full-time job while you're getting your education. MSU Denver students work twice as many hours as students attending any other Colorado institution. So make sure you check out MSUdenver.edu/online today.
My boys, what is up, guys? This is so awesome to be in person with you. And look at this beautiful set we're in. It's like a dream come true.
Yeah, we're kind of this set's been used off and on a little bit, but I'm officially declaring this our set.
It feels like home.
Studio B, Studio 2.0, Studio 215, some have called it. Now I'm just calling it our studio.
Our studio.
What's 215? What's that significance?
It's a secret.
Well, I'm doing the pod. Why not share the secret with me?
Because you're not the only person listening to me talking right now.
Well, we're all family. All the people, listeners, you call them the DNVR family. I mean, come on.
I think it's...
Isn't this the circle of trust here?
My guess is it's for Tim Tebow, right? Or is it for Case Cookus, the 15?
And then what's the 2 for?
Pat
Pat Surtain?
Yeah, I guess. Or
Zach
Kendall
Dicer,
Hinton.
Adam Weber. Let's go back through any of the 2s that came through.
Zach Dicer does spell his name right.
Yeah, that didn't define the number for Sertan.
Maybe I'll tell you afterwards, Mace. Maybe when you're older. Is that what you say to your daughter?
Yeah, how many more?
Something?
I'm 15 years older than you. Jeez.
Shout out to our guys, House Wolf Projects, for this sweet wooden DNVR sign and the ones behind Mace. Some cool little DNVR letters there. But yeah, so this will be our setup, and we love it.
It's home. It's home.
It
feels great.
is.
And guys, the vibes are just incredible. Can't be beat.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only thing we've got to work on here is the climate control. It's kind of tough to control the climate in this studio. So
You getting a little hot and toasty?
I am, yeah. You know, the show gets me going. You know, it gets the juices flowing.
I thought you were gonna say it's getting a little hot and toasty because there were some Aaron Rodgers highlights behind us.
Yeah, well, it was just James Palmer on the TV got me hot and toasty. But speaking of Aaron Rodgers, that was the topic of discussion today.
Shocker.
I know, right? But we wanted to talk about the timing of this trade. Now, everyone knows June 1st is the first date that you would expect a trade to actually go through. And I would put the time about a week before that, maybe 3 to 4 days leading up to June 1st, when you could maybe really hear some smoke, really see some discussions taking place. But what if June 1st comes and maybe there's a little sizzle, but nothing comes of it? June 15th rolls around. July 1st rolls around. The question for me, and Mace, I'll start with you, is there a date or a time that you think, okay, this is when something really needs to get done from a Broncos perspective, that they really should be pushing for to make sure they have this figured out?
You'd like to basically have it by training camp. You could live without it through OTAs, through the mandatory minicamp that comes in mid-June. Basically, at that point, then you kind of marinate on it. You'd want him by training camp. But that being said, if the Packers kind of dither on this and it doesn't happen until the trading deadline in the season, it doesn't happen until the trading deadline in midseason, and then you go ahead and do it. I don't think there's a point where you would say, we're not willing to trade for Aaron Rodgers. What would change, however, is the longer it goes. If it goes into the season, it cuts into the compensation. Like I was telling you guys before the show, if it goes to the trading deadline, whatever team acquired Aaron Rodgers, if you assume he's going to be your quarterback for 4 years, you've literally cut 12.5% off of that. So your offer should not be the same as it was going to be originally because you've already lost half a season.
Right. And I want to circle back to how the offer would maybe change. But Zach, are you at the same place timing-wise?
Yep, and also there's nothing that would make me say, nope, it's too long.
Right,
and guys,
right.
there are some rumblings. I heard that going on this morning that, if season opener comes around, nope, you're not trading for him. You're not messing with that. And I thought the exact same thing. So you're not just trading for Aaron Rodgers this year. You're trading for him. I mean, what does he say? He wants to play well into his 40s. So you're trading for 4, 5, maybe 6 years. Worst case, 3 years. You're still getting 2.5 years out of him if you trade for him in the middle of this season. So for me, there is no cutoff date. Heck, guys, next year, you could still trade for him in the offseason if things don't get fully resolved.
Didn't we talk about the notion of trading for him next offseason months ago, kind of as a flight of fancy, just thinking, all right, maybe they go with him for one more year, but then the baton pass is made in 2022 and they make a deal? That's something that maybe that's even been on the Elway Peyton radar since January.
Yeah. I mean, you don't, it's a want to, right? You want to have it done by training camp, but it should not be the deal breaker.
No.
Now, there are some situations where, heck, maybe Drew Lock blossoms and you're saying, okay, well, now we don't need to trade for Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Now, those conversations would be interesting too, because how good does he have to be for you not to want the reigning MVP? Really damn good. But also, I think back to last week on Three Rings when we had Romy on, we went through the schedule with and without Aaron. Now, I wasn't as quite as bullish on the first half of the schedule as Romy was, but as she was going through it, and I think she got all the way to where the trade deadline was with the exact same record, I was thinking like, okay, well, let's just say I disagree with her on 2 of those games. So the Broncos have 2 more losses with Drew than they would without Aaron as they would with. And, because Teddy could also be the starter.
That's how people feel about Teddy is, they realize that he could absolutely win the job, but it's like, you don't want to think about that.
Not really.
Because he's a bridge, pardon the pun.
Right.
Yeah, no,
If Teddy's the guy, then he's your man for a year and you're in the draft conversation next year. That probably is going to be the case unless Teddy has a league MVP type of season out of nowhere.
It's kind of like exhausting to think about just another 1-year quarterback.
Yes, it is.
So anyways, I was thinking to myself like, okay, well, even if you were 2 games behind where you would be with Aaron and the trade deadline comes around, like you're still in contention. Mm-hmm. All of your goals and dreams are still ahead of you. Maybe you're, further out from winning the division than you would like to be, but you're definitely still in contention for the playoffs if things went just mildly okay.
Right.
You make the trade, and then there's like this weird, awkward adjustment period. I'm trying to remember trades of starting quarterbacks mid-season.
Carson Palmer.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, now Garoppolo did well for a team that was going nowhere, but they played markedly better the 49ers did in 2017 when they put him in.
Well, and really quick, didn't they also give him a couple of weeks to settle behind the scenes?
Yes,
do you think that would happen with Aaron? Yeah,
no.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think that he'd be sitting.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Did Palmer just go right in? I don't remember.
I think he had like a week to kind of adjust. They may have, I'm actually going to look it up here. They may have traded for him around a bye in 2011, back with the Raiders did, but let's see. Yep.
How close is the trade deadline this year to the Broncos bye?
It's before.
A little bit, like, what would it be, week 9?
Yeah, well, I mean, we just week 9, but of course we've got the extra week this year.
Right.
So I mean, if it's week 9, if you trade for Aaron Rodgers, let's say Tuesday, like that deadline, is he playing Sunday, 5 days later?
I don't think so. And then
do you sit him just one more week because bye week's week 11?
No. I don't think you can. I really don't think
the league
you can.
actually hasn't announced a trade deadline date yet.
I think it is around
the
week
NFL
9,
important dates. It's kickoff weekend, Hall of Fame weekend, the Pro Bowl, and the Super Bowl. They haven't set anything else just yet.
I mean, if they did it in week 10, it would be a perfect scenario for you, right?
Yeah.
You bring him in, you play one more game without him. How weird would that feel for whoever the remaining quarterback was?
Yep.
Well, what if Green Bay traded for whoever was starting for the Broncos at that point? So imagine a scenario where, let's say, Teddy beat out Drew Lock in the summer, and Teddy has been the starter, but Green Bay wanted Teddy back in a trade, and they got Teddy, and then you started Drew Lock for a week.
Man, I feel so bad.
I feel awful for Drew if that happened. I mean,
seriously, the Broncos are getting a lot of love on NFL
they
Network this
are.
morning. They talked about Aaron to Denver. They talked about Cortland Sutton wanting to be ready for training camp.
Yep.
And then they just got some Quinn Miners.
Talking about the belly, I love it.
That's nice. You
Our
know,
guy
James Palmer gets on there and starts giving some love to the Broncos.
this is more love than they've gotten on this show in months.
For real. I mean,
At least aside from talking about, they might get Aaron Rodgers.
right. That's kind of the thing that's keeping the Broncos in the headlines right now.
And if they get him, they will be the headlines.
Right. But okay, let's circle back to something you brought up kind of early on in this discussion, Mace, which is how does the compensation change as time goes on? Because I think from now until a week before training camp, it's the same.
Yep.
I think the second that training camp starts, every day the offer is being impacted because you're losing your ability to get the most out of him this year. Now, I personally think that it's not like 3 weeks of training camp, 2 weeks of training camp, even 1 week of training camp isn't going to make that big of a difference once you actually have Aaron Rodgers on the field. But if I'm a negotiator, I'm absolutely going to make it seem like it will. And I'm going to say, hey, what's his name? Brian? Every day that we don't make this deal, you are costing me wins. And so that second that you wanted to be additionally, if we don't have this deal by Thursday, that's turning into a third. And you have to use the little bit of leverage that you have as you're trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers to your advantage. And I do think as time goes on, especially as you start creeping towards week 1, you have to start taking stuff off the table to kind of put the pressure on them. At least some reporting suggests the Broncos really did try to put the pressure on them right before the draft. Again, you need to use those pressure points to say, hey, we need something done by now, or else we're going to have to take that offer off the table.
And the reality is you couldn't blame them if they did put the pressure on before the draft, because the single most valuable draft asset that would have affected a deal was that 9th pick. And trading for Aaron Rodgers means in all likelihood the future draft assets are going to be far less valuable. They're going to be, you're hoping, pick 32. But some years you're probably talking about pick 28, pick 30 perhaps. So one reason why I still think it would have behooved both sides to kind of come to a deal before the draft because of that pick, and then maybe you find a way to work out the financials where the dead money hit for the Packers is spread over 2 years. You kind of do a June 1 designation. Maybe the Broncos, in that case, would have picked a player for the Packers, whatever it would have taken. But I think that is actually a good way to go about this, is to say, all right, here's our best offer, and this offer remains static until the end of July.
Well, and
then you tell them, look, it'll go from here. Like, I think you were kind of right on by saying, okay, a first round pick becomes something less. Maybe if you're starting with 3 first round picks, maybe your first thing is, okay, on this day, one of these first becomes a 2.
Yep.
And then the next thing is that becomes a 3. Maybe you kind of downgrade, or if you got players involved, you say, okay, this player becomes a lesser player, perhaps. Maybe, if you want to throw a name out there, maybe Bradley Chubb is on the table at first, but maybe then that play, then If he's off the table, that drops to
Case
Draymond
Cookus.
Jones. And then all the way, yeah. And then, hey, you need a quarterback, right? You want a quarterback in the deal? We'll give you Case Cookus.
In 5 years, maybe that's what you're trading for Aaron Rodgers. But guys, I love where you're coming from, and you're making too much sense though. That's the issue. If we were talking about a player that doesn't have much interest, and then you can control those.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine, and I mean, when we talk about this, we talk about, potentially San Francisco being in, the Raiders. Mace mentioned Miami yesterday. I have to imagine those are maybe the leading teams, but I have to imagine that 20 teams are going to call, right?
Yeah.
15 teams. I mean, maybe it's not the Peyton Manning where 28 teams are interested, but I have to imagine it's not just going to be a handful of teams, right?
Well, while we have talked about how it's not like Deshaun Watson where he doesn't have a no trade clause, which really is crazy, he does have the jeopardy clause, which is, look, if you trade me to any of these teams other than these three, I'm just going to retire.
Yeah.
If he gets the Jeopardy job, Joe.
Well,
that's a big if.
It's
He
in
could
air
also
quotes,
retire.
because Peyton Manning was offered $25 million a year to do Monday Night Football, or was that the offer? 25 or was it 20? Either way.
Yeah,
A lot.
something.
You think they want Aaron Rodgers to do that job? I sure would think they would want that. So it doesn't have to be Jeopardy. It can be any XYZ.
What if he hosts The Bachelor? I mean, bringing the family circle full
Right.
picture with
Jordan's
his brother
already
being on
been
it.
on.
Yeah. That would be a way to one-up his brother.
Yep, exactly. So there's so many different avenues where he could go and make a whole lot of money, that he can at least use that threat, even if he doesn't want to.
So
He can use that
I
threat.
So
like
then what-
I like the spite involved with him being on The Bachelor, by the way. That would be pretty wild.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, hosting it too, it'd be one more than his brother did.
But Jeopardy to The Bachelor, though. I mean, no offense. I know we all love The Bachelor, but that's like, I mean,
A huge pay raise.
no, that's, I mean, that's like going from filet mignon to spam.
Well,
No
what
offense.
crowd are you trying to appeal to? If he wants to appeal to the young kids, Bachelor's it.
Yeah.
Like Jeopardy goes across the demographics, though.
You know what? Speaking of spam, I had a thought the other day I want to run by you guys. Why is it that we view canned ham, that's what it is, right,
Yeah.
so much grosser than we view canned fish? Because I feel like canned fish should sound way more gross than canned ham.
It should. Wait,
But
so
everyone's just cool with tuna. Like,
No,
at least
they're not.
most people are cool with tuna.
So
it's way more normalized.
spam is ham? I didn't-
Kind of.
Allegedly.
right. I thought it was vegetarian. I didn't even know it was like actual meat.
That would have been a weird thing for you to figure out if you were actually
Right.
vegetarian right now.
Yes, it would have been.
It's pork with ham added, salt, water, modified potato starch, sugar, and sodium nitrite.
But I'm just saying, like,
So like an anchovy that's in a little container. Is that what you're talking
Are
about?
you talking about tuna fish?
no,
like,
I'm talking about tuna, like canned tuna.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
normalized, but
It is.
normalized,
that
but it's
sounds
just-
way grosser to me.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
Well, have you ever had it?
No, I love it.
Yeah.
But,
Okay,
but
see,
that's
I
I
think
bet I would
it's
love
disgusting.
spam too if I had it.
Yeah,
It
but
probably tastes good.
Isn't the
No, it
difference
doesn't.
because the tuna is a fish? It looks like a fish. You can pick it up and it, looks like a real piece of meat. Whereas spam, when I asked you guys if it was ham, you both said
Right.
like, some say it is.
It's a meat product.
don't know.
Meat flavored
So
product.
you say it's not good because I have talked to, like, in Hawaii they put it in rice
and everything.
and everyone says it's great, and
Well,
I just kind of trust them on that.
It became a necessity in Hawaii. That was the thing because at the time there was a time when it was tough to get. You couldn't get fresh meat shipped over from the mainland, right? And so
Okay.
spam ended up being substituted because you could put it on the put it on the boat, ship it out. It wasn't gonna lose its quality, and so spam is a huge part of island cuisine out of necessity.
But everyone says
Almost.
it's good.
And I've tried it, and it's not. But you can convince your taste buds. Like if you grow up with something, you can kind of convince yourself that this is good. This is the cuisine. I mean, there's stuff that we love here that other people think is disgusting. It's just different cultures, different tastes.
Higher Learning's coming in here from Hawaii saying, what's up? And then Hey Duke says, spam is basically a hot dog in a can, which might actually make it sound grosser than fish in a can.
It's not a Hassel Cattle Company hot dog
Oh,
because
no.
those are Wagyu, blue collar Wagyu with no fillers.
Does spam when you open it, isn't it surrounded in liquid or no?
I don't.
I know
think so.
ham is surrounded in liquid,
Ham?
like canned ham, like the canned ham. I think that's been in liquid, right?
People are saying fried spam is very good.
I'm
Anything
down.
fried is
I'm
probably
actually down.
Almost
with
anything fried. Okay, maybe that's what I had to do because I actually put spam on a sandwich just to try it, and I'm like, "Ugh, no, why would I do this?
I feel like your arteries getting clogged though.
I bet.
a lot of
That's how you know
salt,
it's a
yeah.
good meal.
Exactly.
All right, circling
the
back.
last
Not
thing
to
I need.
not to spam the show.
oh,
with, random
there we
stuff.
go. There we go.
Let's bring it back.
I actually heard Aaron Rodgers does eat spam.
Really? Well, he's
I
in Hawaii right now.
So he's probably eating spam at this moment.
Probably is as we speak. Man of culture. As the timeline relates, the Broncos also need, just for peace of mind, to get this done sooner rather than later. Because if you're like in an intense quarterback competition trying to figure it out while also trying to trade for a quarterback, I feel like it muddies the waters. You also want to make a decision on starter, and maybe you can just operate normally and just say if the deal gets done, it gets done. But I just feel like having your hand in 3 different baskets at once is a lot, whereas you'd really like to focus in, say, okay, are we building, like, I think you need to make a decision as early in training camp as possible because Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater are not going to have the same strengths.
Yep.
And so you need to start curating your offense to one of these guys' strengths, and then all of a sudden you're going to have this offense completely ready and then have to change it all over again. Again, if you're getting Aaron Rodgers, you don't care about it. Right. The problem is if you, let's say you're just dragging this on and on and on, and you're saying, well, we don't really need to make a starter, like a full decision on starter because we might have to flip the whole offense based on this trade. And that maybe only happens if you think you're really close. Yeah. But then it all falls apart at the end. Right. And you're sitting there saying, okay, well, now we have to figure out who our starter is. We have to cater our offense to them. Again, you get Aaron Rodgers, you don't care. But if you don't, the kind of not sure, half deciding, half thinking about what would offense look like if it was for Aaron Rodgers, what's it going to look like for Drew, what's it going to look like for Teddy Bridgewater, is just not conducive to getting off to a good start. As we know, this team has to get off to a good start.
Yeah, now, I mean, obviously it helps the competition that you have in those first 3 games, so you kind of have built-in ramp-up. Now, when you mentioned that, I thought, okay, George Payton has been a part of a couple of late quarterback acquisitions. One was kind of in emergency trading for Sam Bradford at the end of the preseason in 2016. And then when they brought in Brett Favre in Minnesota in 2009, they didn't pull that off until August 18th. Now, I agree with you. If it doesn't work out, then you want to get the offense ready. But one thing that helps you here is that no matter what quarterback you have, you're dealing with a quarterback who all of them have seasons of experience in this West Coast nomenclature. I mean, even we talk about the Broncos scheme being different with Pat Shurmur, but it's still the same language as they had in 2019. Bridgewater, of course, was in it in Minnesota and now is in it in Denver. So I think that gives you a little more flexibility than you would have otherwise. Favre, by the way, when he got to Minnesota, it was August 18th. The competing quarterbacks were Sage Rosenfels and Tarvaris Jackson.
Wow.
And I would say the Broncos are in much better shape with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater than Sage Rosenfels and Tarvaris Jackson.
Yeah, I would think so too. And so I think the question is, when do the Broncos move on? And I think the coaching staff needs to move on when training camp comes around, because then they need to plan on, okay, it's going to be one of these 2 guys. And I think the front office moves on at the start of the season in week 1, because Mace, like you said, there could still be a deal done in training camp. And then if a deal's done, the coaching staff's going to be thrilled. It's going to be a much easier job for them to put together an offense surrounding Aaron Rodgers. But that doesn't mean that the door is closed when the regular season comes around. It's just that then George Payton needs to start saying, okay, we need to scout these quarterbacks for next year. What's the free agent market look like next year? Just in case one of these guys doesn't pan out, Drew doesn't pan out. And then if you get Aaron Rodgers, well, then it's easy. Then you say, if you're George Payton, you say, okay, let's take our scouts away from the quarterbacks. Let's put them to another position right there. Yeah. But I think that's kind of the timeline that the team needs to take while you never close the door. And the door stays open next year too.
Yeah. Someone even mentioned that on Twitter that said opening day, because the Broncos need to know if they're drafting a quarterback in 22 or not. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the scouts. Where are you sending them throughout the season? Where's George Payton going throughout the season? Well, If you have Aaron Rodgers in place, then he's looking at edge rushers. He's looking at offensive linemen. If you don't have Aaron Rodgers in place, George Payton's going to go watch Oklahoma. He's going to go watch Nevada. He's going to go watch Cincinnati. He's going to watch North Carolina. That's going to be the best use of his time.
Absolutely. All right, while we're on this timeline topic, I just want to tie a bow on this because the Broncos also have to live in a world where they don't get Aaron Rodgers. They have a quarterback competition that they're entering training camp. I just mentioned this. When do you think they have to make a decision on quarterback? Because I don't think this is something you can stretch out through the preseason and, bumping up to the last week of training or the last week of practice before the first game. I just think that is not conducive, again, to getting off to a hot start, which I think is one of the most important things for this team and this coaching staff.
How have the past Broncos quarterback competitions gone? There's been 2. This is going to be the 3rd in 6 years since Peyton Manning retired. I would say at the end of the day, they haven't been good because it hasn't produced a great quarterback. You have not stuck with them. Quarterback competitions are tough on your team, regardless of what we're going to hear. And Ryan, those other 2 competitions win as late as you can go. Yeah. I mean, I think one of them ended a week earlier than the other one because it was just so clear. But what you need is you need to decide sooner than later. So I would want a month before the regular season. And so that would mean I think you could get one preseason game in and then make a decision after. However, just with NFL coaches and just from the 2 quarterback competitions I've seen, I don't expect it to be done after that first game.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I mean, I think the ideal thing would be have it done as soon as possible. Realistically, I don't think you decide on this without each of them getting a start. I think that's kind of the most fair way to go about it. And then at that point, if you wait until after that second preseason game against Seattle, you will have had Seattle game, the Minnesota game, and a couple of joint practices with the Vikings in Eden Prairie or wherever, Egan or whatever suburb their facility is in now, before you have that. So you'd have kind of 4 days of work against other teams, and then, of course, the body of work from camp. It would be nice to have it done sooner, but I just don't see a way that you do this. If it's a legit 50-50, I don't think you do this without each of them getting a start.
Okay. So
I think that's fair.
I think that is fair.
Yeah.
One of them starts preseason game 1, one of them starts preseason game 2. Mm-hmm. After that, you make your decision, and the other one starts preseason game 3, which is obviously, the last one now. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if teams are going to treat 2 like the dress rehearsal now. That's actually really interesting.
Well, the one thing that's in play, though, is the 3rd game, even though there's no 4th preseason game, it's still the same amount of time from game 3 to week 1 because there's going to be a bye in the 4th week of the preseason. So because of that, I think that's why game 3 is probably still going to look much the same as it has, because you play that thing on Saturday, it's 15 days to the regular season. If you cut it off a week earlier, it's 3 weeks. And we can look back at the 19 season, for instance, when the Broncos had 5 preseason games, but they treated the next to last one as a glorified exhibition ending game in LA. And frankly, I don't think it worked very well. The team, when it came out there against Oakland in week 1, looked very rusty.
Okay, yeah. I mean, for me, you got to make a decision early. But here's the flip side of that. If you make a decision and you get it wrong, and then you gave that whole last month of training or the last month of practice before the regular season, or even last 3 weeks of practice before the regular season to one guy, and then come week 3, you're 0-2 and he's been terrible, and you have to flip everything. Well, then you go back and you wasted a month of practices. So you do have to get it right. Who was it? Was it Bill O'Brien who changed the starting quarterback mid-game of week 1?
First week, yeah.
He jettisoned, I believe it was Tom Savage for Deshaun Watson. But the thing is, why were you not starting Deshaun Watson to begin with? What was wrong with O'Brien?
Wasn't it Ryan Mallett involved? Was it another time?
A year or 2 before?
Yeah.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Ryan Mallett, and who was the guy from Michigan State that everyone...
Case Cookus.
No.
Connor Cook?
No. Connor Cookus. What's the guy's name? Brian...
Hoyer.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like Ryan Mallett or Brian Hoyer.
Yep. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, Bill O'Brien's a Patriots guy and Brian Hoyer's a Patriots guy.
Yeah, I think that was a thing.
Yeah, Ryan...
Wasn't Ryan Mallett also a Patriots guy?
Yep.
At one point.
Man, remember when he missed the flight?
Oh, yeah. Same reason Dak Prescott isn't a Bronco potentially.
But Ryan Mallett, guys, he's tall.
He is tall.
He's tall. Yeah.
He does have that going for him.
You are right on Ryan Mallett with one thing, because in 2015 it was Brian Hoyer who started, and then Mallett came in. O'Brien did it twice.
Imagine being that
Did it twice.
unconfident in your own decision making.
Yep.
This is why he's not an NFL head coach right now.
Kill it at Alabama, though, right?
I'm sure he will.
And then he'll move on.
Pretty easy job.
He'll go through that football rehab on the coaching side. He'll go to another gig, and then the next guy in that position is probably going to be Adam Gase, I would imagine, because he's got the Nick Saban connection going all the way back to Michigan State.
Yep.
I mean, look what it did for Lane Kiffin.
Oh yeah,
Corey,
incredible.
I mean, got him a SEC head coaching job again.
Yep.
Football rehab, baby.
Steve Sarkisian. He's coaching Texas now.
I mean, Sark got one of the 5 biggest jobs in the country.
Yep.
Out of the whole thing.
Yep.
I mean, he's got all the pressure in the world on him. I mean, they eat their young down in Texas, right? I mean, sorry, Longhorn fans, but I mean, you go through coaches like I go through socks.
Do you go through a lot of socks?
Yes, I do.
I thought he was gonna say like I go through spam.
When I was a kid, I used to, for some reason, like wear my socks outside without my shoes all the time.
So you literally went through them.
Like just walking around on the pavement, like out front of my house with socks on, it drove my mom nuts.
Were they white socks too?
No.
Oh.
But they, like you do that 4 times,
yeah.
there's a hole in the sock.
Yep.
Sorry, Mom. All right. Last thing we got to get to here is our DraftKings pick of the week here. I'll lead us off. Avs taking on the Blues tonight. Game 2 of the series. I will be at the game, which is pretty exciting. And the value isn't great here, but I'm just really confident in it. He had so many shots the other night. Mikko Rantanen over 2.5 shots. It is minus 200, but it doesn't matter. You're going to get your win. I also am intrigued by Nazem Kadri over 2.5. He didn't get it last game, ended up with 2. Just seems like a guy who's going to get it together at some point. But I'll make my official pick here, Mikko.
I like it. I like that a lot. When I saw that the Nuggets were playing the Blazers, guys, I didn't love the matchup, but I thought Nuggets were going to be at least minus 200 in the series. They're minus 117. So even though I don't love the Nuggets to take care of the Blazers, I have to take the odds when I like them. And I like that 117. Again, I actually thought it was going to be minus 250. And it's not even anywhere close to that. So I got to go Nuggets, and they're playing hot. They're playing so well, even despite everything they've gone through. So I'm going to take the Nuggets in the series at minus 117.
I like it.
I'm doing a long-term bet. And this is going to be a little bit of a bet on Aaron Rodgers coming to Denver, because for Coach of the Year, Vic Fangio is 25-1. And Coach of the Year usually goes to the coach of a team that has a profound improvement, right?
It's actually a genius way of getting value on Aaron Rodgers to Denver.
So I'm going to take Vic Fangio 25-1 to be the Coach of the Year.
I like it.
I think it's genius.
Yeah,
Why not?
I really like it.
Low risk, high reward.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Last I checked, we'll finish on this. I'll give one last check here, because there was like an an Adam Schefter report on Aaron Rodgers yesterday, in which he said the Packers have had a chance to make their case, and it doesn't sound like anything's changed. Let's see if that has changed the odds at all. It has not. Packers still minus 200. Broncos still plus 150.
That's been static for about 4 or 5 days now.
Yep.
Since the end of last week.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And of course, if you want to get in on all of this action, check out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And guys, they're of course giving you all the NBA, all the NHL, all of the Aaron Rodgers bets, but they're also giving you a chance to turn $1 into, or they're giving you a chance to lower the under, guys, or the over. And I absolutely love this. It's called Hammer the Over, and they're doing that on featured playoff games. And all players who place a bet on a featured basketball game will have a chance in lowering the over under in a game. And if we can get it down as far as we can, then guys, everyone's going to win on this. No matter where you get in, you get that lowest number. So make sure to check out DraftKings Sportsbook to get in on that. And every 1,500 players who bet on the over, the point total will drop by 1 point. So let's get it all the way to 0, and then we will all win there.
We're sitting at 88 right now for Dallas Clippers here in game 1. That will hit in the first half, guaranteed.
Yep.
So
maybe
you
first
have
quarter.
Nothing to worry about. As I said on bets yesterday, if this doesn't hit, I will streak down Colfax.
You know what? I may join you if that, because that's almost a guarantee.
It is a guarantee, 100%.
Oh,
And so make sure to
don't write checks that your body can't cash. That's all I'm saying.
My body's ready.
You can have as many Breck brews beforehand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Kidding.
head to the App Store now, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use promo code DNVR to hammer the over. And like I said, for every 1,500 people that sign up, the point total will be lowered by 1. It's a team effort, so get everyone you know to sign up for this to win money. That's promo code DNVR when you sign up for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions, or not new customers only. Restrictions apply. $25 wager max. 1 per customer. Offer ends May 23rd. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
See, I think it's getting this streak that's going a step too far. I mean, maybe you should have stopped and said like a nylon bodysuit or something like that, like George Costanza back in the day.
It's not going too far. It's not going to happen. So I can say anything I want. I could say I'll chop off my leg. Like,
Oh, wow.
It's happening.
Okay, I'm not joining you there.
Anyways, that's going to wrap it up on the live side of things here. If you haven't checked out our podcast, well, that's where we do the rest of the show. So you can find the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just type in Broncos. We're the first one that comes up. Most popular Broncos podcast in the world.
Big flex.
Come check us out. And listen to the second half of the show where we're going. And of course, if you become a member at DNVR, you can have all of your questions answered by leaving your comments on the podcast, on the website. And that's what we're going to go do now. So we'll talk to you guys later.